Chapter 24, Urinary Anatomy, Screencast 3. Now, this third screencast will focus primarily on additional structures associated with the kidney. We'll talk about the blood flow, the innervation, and such. Now, one of the best diagrams I have ever seen for the blood flow through the kidney is actually found in this particular textbook. And I'm going to move just to the figure and kind of walk through the vessels in that particular manner. Now, here we're going to start off with the renal artery. Okay? And notice it branches so that the arterial blood will hit the other areas of the kidney. So these branches are actually known as the segmental artery. The next artery that we're going to encounter is interlobar. So think in between, and remember a lobe was the cortex and pyramid and medullary area. And we can see the interlobar artery sitting between the two and within the renal columns. We have the arcuate artery, and that is actually going across the top. Think arc or arch. And then we have the interlobular artery. It's very easy to confuse this artery with the interlobar artery, so it quite often is also referred to as the cortical radiate artery. Then we actually move into the vessels that are associated with nephrons. So we have the afferent arteriole, the glomerulus, and the efferent arteriole. And then we have two other sets of capillary beds or networks that are associated specifically with the nephrons themselves. We have the peritubular capillaries, think peri around, and they are capillaries that are associated with the convoluted tubules. We also have the vasa recta, and they are a network of capillaries that are specifically associated with the nephron loop. We then work our way back. We're now on the venous side. We have the interlobular vein, also known as cortical radiate vein. We have the arcuate vein, so once again, very similar to the arcuate artery, and they run nearby each other. There is an interlobar vein. But the one thing to remember here is where there's a big difference between the arteries, there are no segmental artery veins. Now, a couple things to remember is once something is formed, quite often the name changes. And so first, filtrate, blood flows through the glomerulus. And through this process, both water and solutes are filtered from the plasma. This moves across the wall of the glomerular capillaries and into the capsular space. And this is now known as filtrate. Now, as the filtrate moves into the tubular fluid, it's no longer filtrate, it becomes tubular fluid. Tubular fluid will flow through the proximal convoluted tubule, the nephron loop, the distal convoluted tubule, go into the collecting tubules and collecting ducts. Then it actually enters the papillary duct within renal papilla, and now it's no longer called tubular fluid, and it is completely processed urine. Urine has its own flow. It enters the papillary duct, which is found within the renal papilla. It flows within the sinus, the renal sinus of the kidney, and the direction will be the minor calyx to the major calyx to the renal pelvis. The pelvis connects to the ureter. The ureter connects to the urinary bladder, and that is where urine will be stored and excreted out of the body through the urethra. Here we basically see the structures that make up the entire urinary system. This screencast actually ends with the kidney, and the last screencast will focus on the ureters, bladder, and the urethra.